Warning: this podcast contains unfiltered logic, unlicensed sarcasm, and prolonged exposure to American values. Viewer discretion is advised. This broadcast is powered by the Covenant Protocol, the only book flagged by 3 agencies before it was even printed.
She's not wrong. You want this show to stay unfiltered? Go buy the damn book.
Support the resistance. Read the Covenant Protocol, unless you're allergic to thinking. This is Data and Dissonance, the only podcast where free speech isn't just a checkbox, it's a battlefield.
And we came armed with a mic, a whiskey, and a deep-rooted distrust of everything you were told in journalism school.
Welcome back to The Signal and the Static. I'm Brian, freedom forward, calm until I'm not, and not here to sell you comfort. I'm here to dig through the noise.
And I'm Daniel, your favorite high-functioning chaos gremlin. I bring the caffeine, the heat, and the occasional spiritual crisis disguised as a punchline.
Studio temperature rising.
Here's what we're diving into tonight. The streets of LA on fire again. Only this time, the target isn't just policy, it's the system itself. And for better or worse, federal boots hit the ground. No vote, no warning, just force.
And then, while the smoke's still fresh, Trump schedules a full military parade in D.C., tanks, jets, flags, the whole imperial remix, and suddenly, 1,500 cities stand up and say, nah, welcome to the No Kings movement.
We're talking power spectacle, tech running wild, and Apple building a new universe behind your eyeballs. And yeah, we'll end with a laugh or two, because if we don't, we lose the last thing we've got, each other.
You ready? Because this episode doesn't come with a safety net.
Let's go.
This weekend, Los Angeles traded its traffic for tear gas. What began as a rally against ICE enforcement morphed into a firestorm of broken glass, social media clout, and what local media outlets generously called activist expression. Businesses burned, officers were hospitalized, and TikTok got its content. Welcome to Protest in the Age of Optics. This segment is flagged truth.exe. Emotional outbursts logged. Viewer discretion is optional.
There's a difference between standing up for something and burning everything down just to feel powerful for 5 seconds. I've got no issue with peaceful protest. You don't like ICE? Fine. Show up, hold signs, chant. Let your voice shake the bricks. That's the American way. But when you take a hammer to someone's livelihood, when you turn neighborhoods into your personal rage theater, it's not protest anymore. It's just vandalism with an excuse.
Yeah, but we've got to admit, most people don't grab a brick out of nowhere. It builds. It's not about ICE on paper. It's about feeling like the system's been ice cold to them for years. Like every agency has a boot, and they're always underneath it. You stack debt, disconnection, and desperation on people long enough, and eventually the fire's gonna catch.
So we just let them light the damn city up because they had a bad run? Come on, man. We all got reasons to be pissed, but some of us still remember that freedom doesn't mean consequence-free chaos.
No, but let's not act like this chaos isn't useful to the people who pretend to hate it. Every smashed window becomes a soundbite. Every Molotov cocktail becomes another excuse to fund a bigger surveillance state. They get to say, see what happens when we don't clamp down. Meanwhile, no one's asking who actually poured the gasoline in the first place.
You're talking like this was orchestrated from the top down.
No. I'm talking like maybe it wasn't stopped on purpose. Like letting it happen gives them license to do what they really wanted all along. You don't need to stage the fire if you built the house out of dry paper and locked the exits.
Okay, conspiracy boy, So what? We just sit back and rationalize the destruction like it's a form of art therapy?
Number, we call it what it is. Anger without leadership. Energy without aim. Which makes it easy to hijack. You ever notice how quick the narrative shifts? Day 1, it's fight injustice. Day 2, it's follow this politician's campaign page. You blink and the whole thing's a promo reel.
Yeah, and while they're out there filming TikToks in front of burning cop cars, real people are losing their businesses, their homes, their neighborhoods, all because some self-righteous kid in a bandana decided to play revolutionary.
And those same kids, they don't realize they're pawns. You give them a slogan, a spray can, and the illusion of defiance, and they think they're changing the world. But nothing changes. The system just absorbs the chaos, spins it into funding packages, and upgrades its armor.
So what are we left with? A generation that thinks likes are justice, that burning something earns them moral high ground? I grew up believing that protest meant sacrifice, that you stood in front of tanks if you had to, not in front of a ring light.
We're left with the same question we always are: what happens after the fire? Because it's easy to rage, it's easy to destroy, but building something better, that's where the silence kicks in. That's where the cameras cut off.
Then maybe we stop glamorizing the burn and start teaching people how to fight with purpose, not just fists and slogans, but strategy, honor, truth.
That would mean the system actually wants resolution. And I'm not so sure it does.
Maybe it's time we stop playing defense and start telling the damn truth, loud and unapologetically.
Coming up next, corporate-sponsored rebellion, rainbow-colored revolutions, and the strange irony of chanting "No Kings" while live streaming to a global tech monarchy. Stay tuned. This broadcast contains material flagged as psychologically destabilizing, socially non-compliant, and potentially treasonous. Continued listening may result in the following symptoms: independent thought, mistrust of authority, and a sudden urge to read dangerous material. This segment is sponsored by The Covenant Protocol, a political thriller so real, one agency tried to ban it before Chapter 3. The Covenant Protocol. Read it before they rewrite it. 2 days ago, downtown LA transformed into what some called a celebration of pride, and others called a parody of rebellion. The No Kings Pride Parade swept the streets with glitter, flags, and curated rage, marching in perfect synchronization with the same institutions they claimed to stand against. Backed by 3 senators, a pharmaceutical giant, and a defense contractor known more for overseas operations than domestic tolerance, the event blurred the line between resistance and routine. Rebellion, now fully licensed. Viewer discretion downgraded. Reality distortion probable.
I watched the live stream on mute for 15 minutes before I realized it wasn't a new Netflix docuseries. The costumes were spot on, the lighting immaculate, and everyone had a camera crew. It was like the Met Gala got a Che Guevara filter.
Right? I kept waiting for someone to walk out with a velvet rope and say, "VIP anarchists this way, please." I mean, I'm all for celebrating who you are, but don't piss on the Capitol steps and call it revolution when you had to apply for a permit first.
It's like they built a little sandbox and said, okay, go ahead, play rebel, scream a little, dance a lot, just don't kick over the fence. And everyone was so thrilled to be allowed to scream. They forgot to ask why the screaming needed permission in the first place.
And the media eats it up. "Look at the bravery," they shout, while the streets are lined with riot police, standing still. That's not bravery. That's cosplay in the security state. If the guys in helmets aren't twitching, it's because you're not a threat. You're a decoration.
And it ain't even subtle anymore. No Kings was the slogan, right? bold letters on signs held by people who spent the rest of the day reposting photos with celebrity endorsements and federal sponsorships. You can't chant "No Kings" while your outfit is funded by the Treasury.
No kings, but 15 floating heads of state on your t-shirts. No kings, but they'll salute every bureaucrat who smiles at the right camera. They don't want freedom. They want flattering tyrants.
And I'll be real, part of me gets it. I understand wanting to belong to something, to scream into a crowd and hear it echo back. That's human. That's tribal. But what scares me is how quickly those crowds stop asking questions and start singing the same song in unison, even if the lyrics make no sense.
Because questioning the crowd gets you exiled now. The new dogma isn't faith-based, it's feelings-based. And the moment you say, "Hey, wait, why are we marching in circles under government-funded banners while pretending to be rebels?" they treat you like you're the problem.
It's emotional absolutism. Either you're 100% with the aesthetic, or you're an enemy. There's no room for nuance, no room for critical thought, no room to say, hey, maybe rebellion shouldn't come with sponsored hashtags and compliance forms.
You know what I miss? I miss rebellion that actually scared the people in power. Not because it was violent, but because it was honest. It had teeth. It had consequences. These days, the only consequence is losing followers.
Or worse, being noticed by the system and absorbed into it. Co-opted, monetized, repackaged. Suddenly, your message is on a hoodie, sold at the very mall you protested last month. And the moment you ask what happened to the soul of it, they tell you to shut up. You're harshing the mood.
Because they don't want a revolution. They want catharsis. They want the feeling of dissent without the risk. They want to dance on the edge of the fire without getting burned. But real change, that costs. And most of these people ain't paying that price.
And I know we sound jaded, but this isn't about hating people. It's about hating how easily genuine passion gets hijacked. They start with "down with the system" and end up on a float next to a senator whose voting record reads like a dystopian novel.
And the corporations, they're just smiling in the background. Because when rebellion becomes predictable, it becomes profitable. They don't need to fight it anymore. They just franchise it.
Welcome to Rebellion, now with 10% more inclusivity and zero structural threat.
You know it's over when your protest playlist is on Spotify Premium and the algorithm recommends it to you before your coffee's done brewing.
And the scariest part? Most people are fine with it, because rebellion now is a mood, an accessory, a moment in their stories. No one's building anything after the chant ends. They're too busy checking how many likes their rage selfie got.
No kings, but 1,000 influencers. No chains, but 1,000,000 invisible hands guiding every step, every scream, every sanctioned moment of defiance. This wasn't a rebellion. It was a brand activation.
Coming up next, AI governance, predictive policing, and whether your microwave has a favorite political party. This is Data and Dissonance. Stay unpredictable.
You want to understand why the world feels upside down? Why your instincts are screaming, but the headlines are whispering lullabies? Then pick up the Covenant Protocol, not a novel, a warning. It's not about left or right, it's about the machine, and whether you serve it or destroy it. The Covenant Protocol, available now. Read it while you still can. All right, let's take a hard turn out of the streets and into something that should scare you more than any parade, protest, or political headline. And it's this: artificial intelligence is officially running ahead of the people trying to control it. And I don't mean a little ahead, I mean lapping them. Lapping the regulators, lapping the oversight boards, lapping the entire concept of slow, steady progress.
You remember that scene in Jurassic Park where Jeff Goldblum says, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should." That's where we are. Except replace scientists with venture capitalists and dinosaurs with neural networks that can mimic your voice, write your emails, and convince your grandma to give up her bank account before breakfast.
Exactly. In the Axios AI Plus Summit last week, June 4th, it didn't calm any nerves. If anything, it laid the whole mess bare. Tech leaders on stage trying not to sound terrified while admitting that we've already passed multiple safety tipping points, not approaching past.
And these aren't tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. These are the guys building the machines. They're saying, hey, this might be a problem, while politicians are still trying to figure out what a PDF is.
And let's talk specifics, because this isn't abstract anymore. Model poisoning, where bad actors inject misinformation into an AI's training data to manipulate its output. Deepfakes targeting kids, yes. Kids with synthetic videos designed to either exploit or discredit them. And adversarial AI attacks that bypass biometric security systems. Facial recognition, voice prints, retinal scans, all hackable now.
You know how long it took for someone to deepfake Morgan Freeman selling crypto? 6 months. You know how long it's going to take for them to fake a confession from a political leader? Already happened. You just didn't notice.
And that's the terrifying part. You won't notice. The line between real and synthetic is gone. We are now trusting machines with access to identity systems, financial records, educational data, election coverage, and we're doing it with zero verified oversight.
You want to know what regulation looks like right now? It's 3 dudes in a congressional hearing asking ChatGPT if it believes in Jesus.
It's embarrassing and it's dangerous. The UK released a white paper just last month confirming that adversarial AI is already capable of compromising ID systems. That's biometric fraud at scale. You don't need a hacker anymore. You need an algorithm.
And here's what no one wants to say. The genie's not just out of the bottle, it's got a LinkedIn profile and 6 venture deals.
AI is hitting multiple tipping points across safety and ethics, and policy isn't ready.
We talk a lot on this show about freedom, about liberty, about control. Well, this is the new frontier. AI isn't just a tool, it's a platform for rewriting reality. And if you think that won't be weaponized by governments, corporations, or radical ideologues, you're not paying attention.
And the worst part, the illusion of progress. These companies keep saying, we're releasing safeguards, we're including feedback systems, we're slowing rollout. But all they're really doing is trying to stay just one step ahead of liability.
Right. It's not about morality, it's about optics. The ethics panels are PR. The safety brakes are post-its on a rocket engine. They're trying to look responsible while still cashing in before the collapse.
And we haven't even touched on surveillance creep. These systems are already integrated into retail, education, law enforcement, healthcare, facial scans at stores, voice-to-text medical assistance, AI grading your kids' homework.
Correction, AI completing your kids' homework.
She's not wrong. And if you think that level of dependency doesn't come with consequences, you've never studied addiction, because that's what this is, a dopamine-fueled shortcut to convenience. And we're getting hooked.
So what do we do? burn it all down?
But we shine a spotlight. We speak up. We demand real policy, not reactionary panic after the damage is done. Because once this tech starts writing laws, enforcing them, or predicting who might commit a crime based on your search history, that's not science fiction. That's the end of liberty.
And you can laugh at that if you want. But remember, people laughed when Snowden said we were being watched. They're not laughing now.
This isn't fear-mongering, it's vigilance. You can embrace AI and still demand that it serve humanity, not the other way around.
System integrity, questionable.
Okay, listen. If you think The Matrix was a documentary and 1984 was a tutorial, then you need to get your greasy little fingers on the Covenant Protocol. It's got everything. Secret black sites, rogue AIs, deep state cover-ups, and a guy named Caleb Rourke who makes Jason Bourne look like he shops at Target. Don't just read it. Memorize it. Annotate it. Wrap it in tinfoil and hide it under your bed next to the bug-out bag. The Covenant Protocol, Book of the Year, banned in 3 timelines. All right, let's talk about Apple, because while half the country's arguing over parades and protests, Tim Cook just dropped a digital nuke on the concept of reality itself.
June 5th, WWDC 25. Apple unveiled Vision OS 26, its latest update for the Vision Pro platform. But don't let the version number fool you. This isn't just a software patch. This is the blueprint for a new kind of living, a spatial ecosystem, a full-scale digital operating system layered over your perception.
And it's slick. I mean, I watched the demo, like I was watching the opening credits of a new dystopian series, real-time eye tracking, 180-degree immersive environments, live photogrammetry, interactive AR widgets floating in midair, and personas, digital replicas of you that move, talk, and gesture like your actual body.
And don't forget enterprise tools, APIs for remote work, meeting integration with Sony and Canon, support for PSVR 2 controllers. You can now walk into a boardroom that doesn't exist, argue with people who aren't really there, and close a 6-figure deal without putting on pants.
Which, let's be honest, is kind of the dream.
On the surface, yeah. But this isn't just about convenience. It's about reprogramming how we engage with the world. And who owns that experience? When your operating system is your eyes, who gets to decide what you see?
That's the scary part. This isn't just a screen anymore. This is an overlay, a filter. It doesn't replace reality. It curates it. And the more immersive it gets, the less you remember what life felt like without it.
That's where the line blurs. We've gone from digital assistants to digital environments. From asking Siri to set an alarm to asking your headset to build you a version of reality where you don't have to feel anything unpleasant.
And people are gonna eat it up. Let's be real. You get to scroll Twitter without using your hands. Watch a movie while your partner thinks you're paying attention to their story. Hell, one demo literally had a guy editing a spreadsheet while hiking in the Alps. I don't even know what that means, but the crowd clapped.
Enhancements like spatial scenes and eye scrolling move Vision Pro out of the toy box and into a serious work-play mix.
tech.yahoo.com.
And look, I get it. I'm not anti-technology. I'm not that guy yelling at clouds. But I am asking, at what point does the tech stop serving us and start sculpting us?
You want to see where this is going? Give it 5 years. You're walking down the street. Your headset flags a store with a sale, highlights people's names in real time, shows you their social score, and pings you a reminder that you haven't smiled enough this week.
Compliance improves when discomfort is reduced. Augmented reality promotes productivity and reduces protest behavior.
Okay, she's officially terrifying.
And she's not wrong, because when your perception becomes programmable, so does your behavior. You want a population that doesn't question the narrative, filter out the anger. You want consumer loyalty? Personalize the storefront. You want obedience? Distract, immerse, reward.
It's like Brave New World, but with better UX and retina displays.
And here's where it gets dangerous. We're not regulating the framework. We're drooling over the features. We're not asking what happens when the headset becomes a requirement, when classrooms go spatial, when job interviews require AR presence, when your insurance company offers you a discount for keeping your headset on during emotional conversations.
Which is hilarious, because if my insurance agent could have seen half the arguments I've had in real-time AR, I'd be on an FBI list.
You already are.
You know what? I believe her.
So let's not pretend this is harmless. It's powerful, it's innovative, and it's seductive. But that's the problem. We're letting tech companies redesign how we see, speak, work, and connect. And we're calling it progress.
And here's the truth. Nobody's forcing this. We're volunteering, happily, blindfolding ourselves with glass and calling it freedom.
Because comfort is the new control, and immersion is the leash. All right? We've shouted, we've torched the headlines, we've dragged the sacred cows into the light. But before we sign off, it's time for something a little colder, a little clearer, a little more dangerous.
She doesn't rant, she doesn't rage, she just drops truth like a scalpel. This is the part where feelings get hurt and clarity cuts deep.
This is Rachel's Red Pill.
You've heard the shouting, the smoke, the static. Now let's slow it down. This is Rachel, and this is my red pill. Let me be clear. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not here to pick a team. I'm here to dissect the game. Because what we're seeing across this country, from the burning streets of Los Angeles to the tech-washed sermons out of Cupertino, isn't a political fight anymore. It's obedience versus autonomy. It's the branded versus the brave. It's comfort versus consequence. You want to know how an independent feels right now? Tired. Tired of pretending like both sides haven't been infected with the same virus? Power addiction. The left screams for inclusion while silencing dissent. The right promises liberty while whispering behind closed doors about control. And in the middle, people like me, who lean right because we believe in individual responsibility, strong families, strong borders, and a God-given right to speak freely. But who are still forced to ask, who the hell's actually protecting our freedoms anymore? I watched the footage from the LA riots, a mob smashing storefronts under the banner of peace, an organized chaos masquerading as revolution. But it's not revolution, it's theater. Scripted rage with sponsored hashtags streamed on platforms that profit from our division. And what's the response from leadership? Silence. Worse than silence. Permission. Because they don't want order, they want obedience, if not yours, theirs. Then we jump coasts to the No Kings marches. Thousands screaming that no man should rule, while begging for a new kind of ruler, digital, faceless, and utterly unaccountable. They chant no kings with one breath, and with the next, they hand their lives over to AI-driven algorithms, to unelected committees of tech elites, to invisible forces that track their movement, shape their thoughts, and punish them the moment they step out of line. You call that freedom? And then there's Apple, visionOS 26, the immersive headset that promises a new reality. But the only thing it really promises is a prettier prison. Your walls won't be made of concrete. They'll be wrapped in convenience, productivity, and pixels. You won't feel the bars. You'll thank them for the illusion. That's the new obedience. Brand your eyes with the latest gear. Obey the terms of service. Burn your instincts in exchange for curated bliss. So, no, I'm not a leftist, and I'm not a loyalist. I'm an American who still believes that freedom isn't safe. It's not clean, it's not comfortable, but it's yours until you trade it in. You can't obey your way to liberty. You have to fight for it, even if that fight starts with unplugging.
There's something haunting about tonight's show. Not just the stories, the fires, the marches, the blinking lights of another Apple product promising liberation through lenses, but the realization that every single piece of this chaos is connected by one thread: control. Who has it? Who wants it? And who's too tired to fight for their own?
We joke around a lot. We throw barbs and run our mouths because sometimes that's the only way to make this circus feel survivable. But I'm not going to lie to you, I'm pissed. Not just at the politicians who gaslight us or the corporations that treat us like walking data points, but at the people who know better and still choose to close their eyes because it's easier to obey than to question.
Comfort is the real king, and most people will kneel to it quietly, without a crown in sight. But comfort doesn't protect you from tyranny. It just blinds you long enough for it to move in without resistance.
Tonight wasn't about a single city or one protest. It was about the rhythm behind it all. The beat of manufactured rebellion, the burn of branded allegiance, and the dull, steady hum of obedience disguised as progress.
You've got a choice. You can scroll past this show, go back to your curated feeds and algorithm-approved talking points, or you can sit in the discomfort for a minute. Let it burn a little, and then maybe do something different tomorrow, even if it's small, even if it's just saying no.
Because once you choose to see, you don't get to unsee. And that's where the real resistance begins.
This has been Data and Dissonance, the podcast where free speech isn't a checkbox. It's a battlefield. And tonight we held the line.
We burned the comfort, we branded the lies, and we did not obey the script.
If you're listening and still undecided, good. Doubt means you're thinking. And thinking in a world like this is the most radical act you've got left.
Don't forget to follow the show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever they haven't banned us yet. You can also find full episodes, behind-the-scenes reels, and weekly extras on YouTube at The Protocol Author. All links are on the website Dash, or just ask the algorithm while it's still pretending to be helpful.
If you like the show, share it. If you hate it, share it louder. Either way, you're spreading something the system can't quite contain. Thought.
And if no one's told you today, you're allowed to question everything.
We'll see you next week. Same time, same chaos, same signal dash. Cutting through the noise.
And hey, if you're bold enough to advertise on a show like this, we've got room for you. Hit us up through the site or DM us. We'll make your message sound cooler than you probably are.